So for my paper, I did teen pregnancy in Arizona because that's where I'm from. And it like over the last like 5 years, I did some research and I had it in my paper, but it had increased by like 15% over the last 5 years. So it's definitely like gone up and has become more of a problem. Um, so I decided to do like my last presentations and like comprehensive plans on a girl named Julie, which I just made up. And I'm just gonna start with her background. She's a 16-year-old girl. She lives in Arizona. She's very popular and athletic. She's the oldest of four kids. She has lived in Utah her whole life, and she had a boyfriend for 2 years. And then another thing that like I also discussed in my paper was like not only teen pregnancy, but like different factors that come into that, like people like having or getting pregnant like from their boyfriends, but then also like rape and that way like getting pregnant. And so I decided to do this case on Julie and how she ended up being raped and how we could help her with that. And so because of her faith, she's LDS is what I put, that her parents and her agreed that they would have the baby full time and that she would put it up for adoption. And she doesn't want to get an abortion because it obviously goes against the LDS standards. And one other issue that she has now is she doesn't trust men, and she gets very nervous and like has anxiety around them. And she has a hard time like going and doing anything by herself because when she was molested, she was by herself. And then her strengths. She's very determined and very strong despite everything that has happened to her. She knows how to take care of herself, but she isn't really ready to have a child and is still kind of like dealing with that, but she's strong throughout it. And she's also very close to her parents and her siblings, and so she relies on them a lot for her strength. Some of her resources are her church, the LDS church, and the church community, her family, and then she has a mental health specialist that's also in her ward that she meets with, and then the adoption service that is also located in Gilbert that I did some research on, and they like are taking like any young girls that like want to give up their children. And then why I think the identified problems need to be addressed is she's a young this happened to her, and she has had her childhood stripped away from her at an early age. So she will also have PTSD from being molested and will have to deal with that for the rest of her life and her future relationships. And she's also bringing a child into this world, so her body's going through a lot of things she's not ready for yet. And she's going to need a mental health specialist to work through all of her mental illnesses that can come from pregnancy and the early stages of depression that she's already showing. And so the treatment plan that I came up with for her was we're going to have her meet with her therapist twice a week to discuss any of the issues that she could be facing with this, and then also meet with a psychiatrist to get any medications prescribed to her to help with any of the side effects of depression or any other mental illnesses she may be facing. And then she'll also meet with her social worker every week just to make sure that everything's going well in the home and that the baby is still like good and that like everything's going good in the home at school and that there's no issues there. And I believe that this treatment plan will work because she'll have someone to kind of like lead, like take her hand, like hold her hand through this process that isn't like her own family and like her friends and people she knows, like someone that she can just like talk to and like really get everything off her chest like through this whole process so she can like get through all of this depression and the mental illness and that she can put all of it behind her. But that is my treatment plan and the presentation on my client.
All right, I can go next if you guys want. All right, so my name is Tessa Nelson, and I did, and my project for the semester was actually on domestic violence. And so I ended up doing a treatment plan and an assessment for a client by the name of Jennifer Jones. And Jennifer is somebody whose parents were both domestically violent to her and to each other mutually. And Jennifer's parents, they would often like try to use her as like a tool, like in a game, to like pit them against each other or like try to get her to take sides. And then if she took sides, played the game, or even if she refused, she would often be abused by the parents or by the offended parents. And so then it was found out through social work and CPS that the situation was going on. So she was removed from the home. And some of her strengths are that she understands what she wants to work on, is honest about her current functioning. She has a desire to change her situation and wants to be more independent. And she's very strong-willed and appears to have direction. Hey, sorry, hang on 1 second. Sorry about that. And so basically, just due to the situation, she's had to go to CPS and other places. And so I ended up getting some support services to help her out because she experiences PTSD. She has an attachment issue, like an attachment disorder, and she does not feel secure in her attachments with people due to how her parents treated her. And so, so some of the services, and she's also struggling with her homework because at her home there's just too much contention to focus on any homework. So she does well at the assignments she does in class, but she does not do well with homework because she doesn't get it turned in. And so some of the services that I ended up trying to, get her hooked up with was peer support services. And that's like a special certification in the state of Idaho that allows people to help assist them with their traumatic emotions and experiences. And it's like similar to therapy, but it's very different in regards to, as it's just to support them and help them through what they're dealing with. And she is supposed to meet with that person once a week for an hour long for the duration of 6 months. I also put down some meditation services for her to help her get connected with people around her and get some help for, and get some assistance from friends or to create friendships. I had her go to an after school meditation service that's run by a volunteer. And that is also once a week in an hour long duration. And it's supposed to go until the semester ends in December. And I also ended up getting therapy services for Jennifer, and this will help her with her acceptance of the situation, with her trauma memories and some EMDR therapy for sure. And that's all supposed to take place once a week for an hour for the period of a year. And so just target some of Jennifer's goals is she wanted to do better in school. She also wanted to be more accepting of her situation and feel more secure with people. With the current friends she does have, she tends to spike up drama and cause problems in that regard. And it kind of ruins her friendships, and she does it to push them away. So a lot of stuff is being targeted around that attachment disorder that she has. And the reason why I do think that this treatment plan will work is because it incorporates every aspect of what she's dealing with. Oftentimes when you have people who are coming in who've experienced domestic violence, there's not just one thing will cover the problems, or the challenges that they're experiencing. And you need to get them connected with multiple different services to help them with those challenges. And in addition to that, she's also going to be doing tutoring after school and communicating with her teachers on her homework, just to make sure that she's getting a very well-rounded treatment and a well-rounded way to help deal with those, issues. And so that's kind of Jennifer's situation and a good, sum up of what's going on.
I can go now. So I did my topic on juvenile delinquents in the United States. My treatment plan was on, her name's Amy Jacobs, just a made up name. Her problem is when she was 14, her sophomore year of high school, she moved to Utah, and she started getting mixed up in some bad things with some bad people. She got pregnant and got arrested and just got mixed up with substance abuse, and substance abuse is kind of the main topic of my treatment plan. So some of her strengths, she's independent, she's really good at writing. Her sophomore year, she started like declining in her schoolwork. She like didn't really care about like any school except for like her writing classes, so she did really good in those. Um, okay. I don't know if you guys know that movie. It's like the Freedom Riders or something. That's kind of like what I was like kind of thinking about when I was writing this. Um, and so and she has a really supportive family. I kind of did that because like in my paper, it was kind of the research I found was it was like families of juvenile delinquents are usually really unsupportive, and I kind of hate that. And so I like made her family really supportive in my treatment plan. And it's actually like Amy who's the one who is kind of like disassociated from her family. Um, her family like took her baby in, and it was just really supportive of her. Um, so the main interventions I did for her substance abuse is to get her involved in like a substance rehab center. So I put her in there for a year, and so it's not a live-in, so it's an out of patient rehab center. So she's in there for a year, and she's gonna go 3 times a week. And in that, her social worker will be there, her legal team is involved in that. And it also has a program where it helps like their clients like graduate from high school if they're at risk at like not graduating, which Amy is. She's a senior this year and she's at risk of not graduating. So it helps them with pretty much everything. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. So my case is Daniel, and he is from California as well. He lives with his mom and his one sibling. He has another sister, but she's in college. But anyway, his mother took care of them for a bit, but she has not recently, probably a year ago, lost her job. And so she and Daniel and her little brother Luis have had to rent trailers or small apartments or small rooms, and they are currently at a Salvation Army shelter. And so the way they were contacted was because Safe Place for Youth, which is called SPY in California, was reaching out to them to try and help them a little bit. But encountering them, they felt the mom had some substance abuse issues, but nothing confirmed. Just the case manager felt there was something off about the mom and the money and where it was going, and they're on welfare. But so they're currently homeless. Daniel's school is also struggling as he isn't consistently there. He's missing a lot of assignments and he's getting behind in school. There's also something strengthworthy to note is that his teachers really like him. They try and help him as much as they can, but obviously he's still not turning in assignments. And something that he mentions is that he doesn't see the importance of school compared to his situation at home. And so that's problem number 2. And problem number 3 with Daniel and his family is just the family dynamic and relationship that they have with their mother and his sibling. So Daniel has had to really grow up quite rapidly and mature, and he's had to worry about housing, about food, about taking care of his little brother. And so he puts a lot of disdain or some hurt feelings towards his mother in that relationship towards her. So he is struggling with his mother, and his mother is also kind of very absent-minded about them. She's still trying to do good for him, and she is willing to try for both of her sons. So that's a good thing. She's not blatantly neglectful. So something that we want to do for Daniel and his family is the first thing is to take them to or have them meet with a family therapist. So one of the smaller steps on that is for her, the mom, to provide for her children, and so she'll have to find a job and work on that, and that will help the relationship hopefully. And the family therapist is there to facilitate the healing, and once the mother starts making changes, to make sure that Daniel is also committed, and that he's also putting into the relationship. So family therapy and job placement in order to help the relationship would help them. Another thing we're trying to do is housing help for them, and that's a case manager that can help them apply for Section 8 housing, so the voucher that would give them or not a discount, but would pay a certain amount. The California government state would pay a certain amount of their rent for a short time, for about 6 months. And there was also another, the Department of Housing and Community Development has certain housing options that are also cheaper already. So that would be a good way to get them housing fast and affordable housing. They would basically not have to pay that much. And they're already on welfare, so they have an income. And so we're trying to help them with Safe Place for Section 8 vouchers, Safe Place for Youth, case management to help them find a home, and then the Housing and Community Development, the Department of California, having them be housed in one of their housing units. And the last thing we want to do for Daniel is try and get him back on track with school. And so the case manager would also work with his school to make sure that they can accommodate him a little bit. Some of that means he has to go to summer school, and so that's something that Daniel will have to do and make sure he's there. The case manager would help Daniel's mother be accountable and to make sure that he keeps going to school and consistently goes to school. And then the last thing we would do with him is tutoring. So we'd have to get him a tutor to make sure he's caught up and understands what's happening in classes, that he doesn't get left behind anymore. And so getting him to school, getting him a tutor, having him go to summer school would hopefully get him back on track with school, and also just to make sure the therapist that they're working with would help facilitate kind of the exchange of responsibilities from Daniel back to his mother when it comes to housing and to worrying about where this family is going to live, so that Daniel can focus more on school and have that, as he previously mentioned, that he didn't find it as important as trying to find a home. Make sure that he is still a child and he gets to be a child. But that's kind of the treatment plan that we had for him and Daniel right now as a homeless youth in California.
All right, I really liked your presentation, and I think we're all done. So I'll just get it posted as soon as possible. Okay, guys?